Hi, it's Christina, President of Moss Financials. Kudos to you for taking a little time to invest in your business by absorbing some free knowledge. I hope that this video helps you maintain those profits. So let's get to it. Today we're going to be talking about 4 profit management tips you need to know because we don't want you to throw your money away, right? Tip number 1, send your client a complete invoice. I've been in accounting for a long, long, long time, and it always aggravates me to no end when a contractor sends me an invoice that's handwritten or an invoice that he has not only handwritten, but he has taken a picture of it with his camera and have attempted to email it to me from his phone. At that point in time, I'll pay that invoice because you've done the work, but I guarantee you we will never do business again. Why? Because that's letting me know that your back office is terrible. Terrible back office. You have no one in the back that's doing your records. You've written down some items and a price on a sheet that you found in your truck, and now you've taken a picture of it and you've sent it to me. That means you care nothing about the quality of your business. That's what that tells me. Not only that, I have to pay this invoice. How do I know that you're going to make good on that payment? How do I know that in 2 months you're not going to try and come back and say, well, you didn't pay for this invoice because your back office is terrible? So, point number 1, keep it professional looking. Take the time to write an invoice, to type an invoice out, and to send it to your client on good paper, scanned or mailed to their office. Do not take pictures of it with your phone. Don't do that. Secondly, make sure it has relevant information. You have no idea how many times I get an invoice from a contractor and he doesn't even have his phone number on it. Like, how am I supposed to contact you if I have questions about an invoice if you don't even take the time to put your phone number or an email address? This is internet, the technology stage, right? This is the years of technology. Everyone has an email address. Put it on your invoice. You have no idea how aggravating that is. That means that, again, I'm going to pay this invoice, but we're no longer going to do business. I don't care how good your work is. You can be the best plumber, the best carpenter. You could be the best demo person in the city. But if you send me garbage on an invoice, that will be the last time I pay you. So make sure you have all the relevant information. And that includes date of service. I want to know when you did the work. When did you process and prepare this invoice? I need a date. I need good amounts. Make sure that you specify how much I owe you so that I can pay you. Invoice number. This is my biggest pet peeve. Make sure that every invoice that goes out of your office has an invoice number. I'm going to tell you why. If you send me an invoice with no invoice number, how do I know that that's not a duplicate? I may have paid that invoice twice already, but because you don't have an invoice, there's nothing I can reference to. What if I need to call you and say, hey, I think I made a payment on this invoice. Invoice number, I can't even reference anything. So if you make up an invoice and record it, but make sure you have an invoice number. It's so important. Another thing is terms. Now, terms is the amount of time you're going to allow your client to pay you. So maybe some contractors will say, you know what, I can't afford to carry this expense of working for 10 days, which means when I do the work, I need to be paid immediately. That's fine. But that needs to be clearly stated on your invoice. If you are going to allow your customer or client 10 days to pay you, then you need to have a net 10 on your invoice. Otherwise, you're just allowing your client to pay you anytime they want you because you have not discerned and determined and dictated on your invoice what your terms for payment are. You can either have due upon receipt, you can have maybe a net 10, a net 15. Maybe you want them, you can carry it out for 30 days and you're giving them time. Maybe if they pay you within 10 days, you're discounted 2%. That's fine. But the invoice needs to reflect that. Correct, accurate pricing. Huge pet peeve. As you can tell, invoices are just my pet peeve. If they're not correct, I'm going to be bitter. So, correct pricing, it makes sure that your pricing makes sense. So, if you are charging your client for 4 hours of demo work for $500, and then 2 days later you invoice the same client 40 more hours of demo work for $150,000, and I'm being, very sarcastic here, that doesn't make any sense, because guess what? The client is going to go, okay, well, his rate of pay on this invoice doesn't match the rate of pay on this invoice, and so something must be wrong. Make sure that your pricing is accurate across all of your service offerings. Pet peeve. And lastly, make it descriptive. Please have an invoice where your line items are descriptive. Don't just have your invoice say demo work. What demo work? What? Did you demo a building? Did you demo a room, a floor, a section of a building? Where is this building? Did you take scrap out? What did you do? I need to know. I'm paying it. I need to know. Be as descriptive as possible on your invoices. This is our communication between client and contractor. Tip number 2, specify your method of payment. And this kind of goes back to some of the things you need to have on your invoice. Are you going to allow someone to write a check? Are you cash only? Are they allowed to pay you with a debit or credit card? How are they supposed to pay you? You have to make that very specific in your invoice. Hence again, why invoices are so important. You need to know, and they need to know how to pay you. If you have a mobile app for your payments, make sure that information is available to the client up front. Make sure that information is also available in your invoice, or maybe in your contract, or maybe both. Make sure they understand how to pay you. They can pay you from your website. They need to know that information. And make sure that whatever method of payment, whether it be Cash App or PayPal or Square, make sure that your profile is professional. I'm sorry, but a Cash App profile name of Hot Desire for You is not very professional, because that comes over on the client's bank statement, and unprofessional. But I've seen it, and the only reason why I speak it is because I've seen it. If you're going to have a merchant account, make sure that the name attached to that merchant account is professional and it's business. Not only that, those merchant accounts need to be linked to a business checking account. Repeat, all merchant accounts need to be linked to a business checking account. No exceptions. If you don't have a business checking account, stop this video right now. Go to your bank with all the necessary documents and open up a business checking account. There's no reason why you're in business and you don't have a business checking account. And yes, I just did bark at you. At some point in time, you're going to, someone's going to request a lien waiver. And for all of those that are new to this industry, a lien waiver is, a lien waiver request, is something that's issued to you that says, hey, once I receive this payment, I'm not going to file a mechanic's lien on the property or project or whatever you're working on. So it's becoming more and more routine that clients, especially if they work with title companies and banks, they will not release any funds to you if they do not receive that lien waiver request back from you, signed properly. Goes right back to invoices. If your email or your phone number is not, or a fax number, if that information is not on your invoice, then how do you expect to get paid if they have to send you a lien waiver request, and they can't because they don't know how to contact you? They can put it in the mail, of course, if your mail address is on your invoice, but why do you want to wait that long? Why wait that long? Make sure that all the information that they need to contact you for lien waiver requests is noted and given to them up front, and also on your invoice. Matter of fact, you can be proactive. Send the lien waiver request already filled out when you send the invoice. That way they already have it. And when it's time to cut checks, you'll be the first one in line. Manage expenses. I have so much to say about this. And I didn't think I would have to say this, but I guess I do. Expenses equal cost equals money gone. Keep your receipts. Better yet, once you keep them, review them each month. Even better, have someone other than you, an accountant or bookkeeper, record them for you. You need to know where your money is going from month to month, from day to day. If you don't know where your money is going, how can you determine where your business is going? Number two, avoid frivolous purchases that don't add value. You have no idea how many times I see a contractor take his business debit card or take money out of his account to buy lunch for everybody on his team 5 days a week. That's great. I know you have a good heart. That's great that you want to be that kind of employer. But does that really add any value to your business at the end of the day? I am sure they would rather have a paycheck than a meal. Make sure you're investing that money wisely and managing those expenses because that adds up really, really quickly. And number three, your business debit is not your personal piggy bank. This is your business, not personal. ATM withdrawals, excessive non-business purchases, monthly subscriptions to things you don't even remember having is not the best use of your business debit card. If you need funds, put yourself on payroll. If you don't know how to do that, you'll have an opportunity at the end of this video to discuss and talk about how to put yourself on payroll. I promise you, you'll get the information. But stay out of the cookie jar. It's business, not personal. Tip number four, keep up with your things. Inventory is expensive. When you buy a piece of equipment for your business, an expensive piece of equipment, you expect to use that for a long time, right? So if that's the case, there are some rules that go along with buying and keeping your inventory. And it's 3 words, the 3 L's that I call them. Label it, log it, and lock it. What does that mean? What does that mean? When you buy your piece of equipment, your fancy, expensive piece of equipment, first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you label it. And not just with a Sharpie or something like that. Have it engraved, have something that's going to be on there for a while. And then after you put a nice little tag on there, maybe with a serial number that you've created, put it in a log. So that way you have an idea, you have a running list of all of the things that you have for your business. And secondly, or thirdly, I'm sorry, put it under lock. I'm going to be really honest with you here. I know subcontractors, a lot of times you hire them out, you don't really know who they are, and some of them have sticky fingers. We're just going to be honest. You don't want your inventory and your big piece of expensive equipment to take legs and walk out of your life. You don't want to do that. So make sure that you follow the 3 L's. You want to label it, you want to lock it, and you want to log it.